My son Daniel called me on a Tuesday afternoon in March. The kind of call where you can hear the discomfort before they even speak. "Dad, about the party this weekend." He started, and I knew. I just knew. "Vanessa and I have been talking, and we think it might be better if you didn't come to my birthday dinner." I stood there in my kitchen, the same kitchen where Ellen used to make her famous pot roast every Sunday, and I smiled. Actually smiled. "I understand, son," I said calmly. "You two enjoy yourselves." I hung up, walked to my office, and pulled out a file folder I'd been keeping for the past 6 years. Then I made a phone call that would change everything, and that was just the beginning of my plan. Let me back up. My name is Robert Chen. I'm 63 years old, and I've lived in Boulder, Colorado for 40 years. I built a small construction company from nothing, worked 70-hour weeks for decades, and made a decent living. Not wealthy, but comfortable. My wife Ellen and I raised one son, Daniel. She died 4 years ago from ovarian cancer. The grief nearly destroyed me. I threw myself into work and into helping Daniel because it gave me purpose. It gave me a reason to wake up every morning. Daniel had always been ambitious. After college, he decided to start his own marketing consultancy. He had ideas, energy, but no capital. Banks wouldn't touch him. Too risky, they said. No track record. So I stepped in. I liquidated some of my retirement accounts, took out a second mortgage on my house. I gave him $180,000 to start his business. "Consider it an investment in your future," I told him. Ellen would have wanted me to help our boy. But here's the thing nobody tells you about helping your adult children. Once you start, they expect it to continue. The business got off the ground, but Daniel took on debt. Business loans, equipment leases, office space he couldn't really afford. When the monthly payments started crushing him, he called me. "Dad, I'm drowning here." Just until I land some bigger clients. So I started paying his business loan. $4,200 every single month. $50,400 a year. For 6 years. I told myself it was temporary. He's building something, I rationalized. He'll pay me back when things stabilize. Ellen would have wanted me to support him. That's what I kept telling myself as I watched my savings account drain month after month. Then, 3 years ago, Daniel met Vanessa Park. She was 31, beautiful, polished, and worked as an event planner for high-end corporate functions. Her family owned a chain of boutique hotels in Aspen. Real money. Old money, as they say. She moved in a different world than Daniel grew up in. Country clubs, charity galas, ski chalets. Within 6 months, they were engaged. Within a year, married at one of her family's hotels. A wedding that cost, from what I gathered, somewhere north of $100,000. Her parents paid for most of it, but Daniel insisted on covering the rehearsal dinner and the honeymoon. He asked me for $40,000. "It's important to Vanessa that I contribute equally," he explained. "Her family is watching." I gave him the money. What else was I supposed to do? After the wedding, things shifted. Daniel's calls became less frequent. When we did talk, he seemed distracted, always cutting conversations short. "Vanessa and I have dinner plans," or "We're meeting her parents at the club." I understood. Newlyweds need their space. But there was something else, a distance that felt deliberate. 2 years ago, they bought a luxury SUV, a Range Rover, $85,000. Daniel called me the week before the purchase. "Dad, Vanessa needs a reliable car for her business. She drives all over meeting clients, but we're stretched thin with the house and the business loans." I knew what was coming. I took out a personal loan and gave him $30,000 for the down payment. "Pay me back when you can," I said, knowing I probably never would. Last year, Vanessa's parents offered to sell them a vacation condo in Vail at a family discount. $450,000. "A steal," Daniel said excitedly. "But we need 20% down. $90,000. I had maybe $120,000 left in my retirement accounts. I was 62 years old. I said yes. I gave him $75,000, every cent I could spare. "This is the last time," I told him firmly. "I'm not a bank, Daniel." He promised it was. He swore he'd start paying me back within the year. That was 14 months ago. I haven't seen a single dollar. The change in Daniel was gradual enough that I didn't notice it at first. Calls became texts. Texts became sporadic. Invitations to dinner dried up. The first Christmas after Ellen died, Daniel and Vanessa invited me to their house. It was stiff, formal. Vanessa's parents were there, along with her two sisters and their husbands. Everyone discussing ski trips and wine tastings and summer homes. I sat quietly, feeling like a stranger at my own son's table. The second Christmas, they went to Aspen with Vanessa's family. "We'll catch up in January," Daniel promised. We never did. Last Christmas, I was alone in my house, eating Chinese takeout and watching old movies. I started noticing other things. Daniel's social media, photos of elaborate dinner parties at their house, him in expensive suits I knew he couldn't afford, Vanessa posting about Michelin-starred restaurants and private ski instructors, living a life that my money was subsidizing while I ate pasta 4 nights a week and drove a 12-year-old truck. I'd see him maybe 3 or 4 times a year, always rushed, always checking his phone. He'd give me the highlights of his life in bullet points, like a quarterly earnings report. New client landed. Thinking about expanding the business. Vanessa got promoted. Never once did he mention paying me back. Never once did he ask how I was really doing. But I kept paying that $4,200 every month. Because that's what fathers do, right? We sacrifice. We support, even when it hurts. Which brings me to March 15th, Daniel's 35th birthday. He'd mentioned it in passing during one of our brief phone calls in February. "We're planning something," he said vaguely. I assumed I'd be invited. Why wouldn't I be? I'm his father. So when that Tuesday afternoon call came, my first reaction was confusion. "What do you mean it would be better if I didn't come?" I asked, keeping my voice steady. Daniel sighed. That particular sigh that said he really didn't want to have this conversation. "Look, Dad, Vanessa's been planning this dinner for months. It's at the Mountain Room. You know, that new restaurant everyone's talking about? Her business associates are coming. Some of my bigger clients. It's kind of a networking thing, too. And you think I wouldn't fit in?" The words came out calmer than I felt. "It's not that," he said quickly. Too quickly. "It's just, it's going to be very formal, very upscale. And Vanessa has this whole aesthetic planned. The right people, the right vibe. She's stressed enough without worrying about—" He stopped himself. "Without worrying about what, Daniel?" "You know what I mean, Dad. Your work clothes, your stories about construction sites. Vanessa's trying to impress these people. Her boss is coming. This is important for her career." I felt something crack inside my chest. Not break. Crack, like ice before it shatters completely. "I see. I knew you'd understand. You're always so reasonable. Maybe we can grab lunch next week, just the two of us." My treat. His relief was audible. "Sure, son. You enjoy your party." After I hung up, I stood very still in my kitchen. The late afternoon sun was coming through the window, hitting the photo of Ellen on the counter. She was smiling in that picture, taken at Daniel's college graduation. So proud of our boy. I wondered what she would say if she were here. Would she tell me to be patient, to give him grace? Or would she have seen this coming years ago and tried to warn me? I walked to my office, a small converted bedroom where I kept my business files. From the bottom drawer of my desk, I pulled out a thick folder labeled Daniel, Financial. I'd been keeping track, every loan, every payment, every time I'd said yes when I should have said no. I documented everything, partly out of habit from running a business, partly because some small voice in my head whispered that I might need this someday. I spread the papers across my desk. Bank transfers, copies of checks, loan documents where I'd co-signed, the business loan payment confirmations, 54 of them now, receipts for the car down payment, the wire transfer for the Vail condo, all of it, $387,600, plus the ongoing $4,200 a month. That's an additional $302,400 over the 6 years, nearly $700,000 total. $700,000, and I wasn't good enough to attend his birthday dinner. I pulled out my phone and called James Rodriguez, my attorney. We'd gone to high school together, before he went off to law school, and I started swinging hammers for a living. He'd handled my business contracts for years, and he'd helped me navigate Ellen's estate after she died. "Robert, good to hear from you. What can I do for you?" "James, I need to see you tomorrow morning. First thing, can you clear an hour?" "For you?" "Absolutely. Everything okay?" "Not really," I said. "But it's about to be." That night, I barely slept. I kept replaying Daniel's words. Vanessa's trying to impress these people. The right vibe. Your work clothes. as if 40 years of honest labor was something to be embarrassed about. As if the hands that built houses, that signed over nearly $750,000 to give him his dreams, weren't good enough to hold a fork at his fancy dinner. I thought about all the times I'd wanted to say no, the voice in my head that said I was enabling him, not helping him. The financial advisor who'd looked at my depleted retirement accounts and asked, with genuine concern, what I was going to live on in 10 years. I'd ignored all of it because I wanted to be a good father, because I thought that's what love looked like. Wednesday morning I was at James's office at 8 sharp. He took one look at my face and closed his door. "Talk to me," he said. I told him everything. The money, the years of payments, the birthday dinner. James listened without interrupting, his expression growing darker. When I finished, he sat back in his chair. "Robert, I'm going to ask you a question, and I want you to really think about it. If you stopped paying that business loan tomorrow, what would happen? The bank would come after Daniel. The loan's in his name. And he'd default. Probably. I don't think he can cover $4,200 a month on his own. And if he defaults, the bank could seize his business assets, his equipment, his client contracts. I know that." James leaned forward. "Good. Because I want you to understand what you're considering here. This isn't a small thing. This is going to blow up his life." "He's 35 years old," I said quietly. "He has a thriving business, a wife with family money. He should be able to stand on his own 2 feet. I've been carrying him for 6 years, James. 6 years. And I'm not even good enough to eat dinner with him on his birthday." James nodded slowly. "Okay, here's what we're going to do." We spent the next 2 hours going through every document I'd brought. James made copies, took notes, built a file. Then he drafted a letter. A formal demand for repayment of all loans, with a detailed accounting. 30 days to produce a payment plan or face potential legal action. We also drafted a letter to the bank holding Daniel's business loan, notifying them that I would no longer be making payments as of April 1st. 2 weeks away. "The car," James said. "You said you gave him money for the down payment. Who's on the loan?" "Just Daniel. So legally, you can't touch the car. But morally, you gave him 30 grand. Did you get that in writing?" I shook my head. "Okay, we'll include it in the demand letter anyway. He doesn't have to legally acknowledge it, but it's part of the total accounting. Same with the Vale condo down payment. You have the wire transfer receipt?" "I did." James made a copy. By the time I left his office, I had a plan. 2 letters, ready to be sent by certified mail on Friday, the day before Daniel's birthday party. The party I wouldn't be attending. Thursday, I went through my normal routine. Job site visits, meetings with clients, paperwork, but everything felt different. Lighter somehow. For the first time in 6 years, I wasn't carrying the weight of Daniel's choices. I was setting it down. Friday morning, I drove to the post office and sent both letters. Certified mail, return receipt requested. Then I went home, poured myself a bourbon, even though it was barely noon, and waited. The party was Saturday night. I spent the day cleaning my garage, working on a carpentry project I'd been putting off. My phone was silent. No text from Daniel wishing me a good weekend. No guilty check-in call from his wife. Nothing. I ordered pizza, watched a Broncos game replay, and went to bed early. Sunday morning, my phone started ringing at 7:48. Daniel's name on the screen. I let it ring. He called again at 8:15. Again at 9:03. By noon, I had 12 missed calls and 7 voicemails. I didn't listen to any of them. Monday morning, another 5 calls before 10. Then a text. "Dad, we need to talk. It's urgent. Please call me." I poured my coffee, sat at my kitchen table, and finally listened to the voicemails. The first few were confused. "Dad, I got this weird letter from your lawyer. Call me." Then they turned panicked. "Dad, what is this about? Why are you demanding money?" The later ones were desperate. "Dad," the bank called. "They said you're stopping payments. You can't do this. Please call me. Please." I deleted them all. Then I texted back. "Received your messages. I'll be available to talk Thursday at 3. My house." His response came within 30 seconds. "Can we meet sooner? This is an emergency." "Thursday at 3, I typed back. "Or we can let the lawyers handle everything. Your choice." He didn't respond again. Tuesday, I got a call from Vanessa. I almost didn't answer, but curiosity got the better of me. Robert, her voice was ice. I don't know what game you're playing, but you need to stop this immediately. Daniel is having panic attacks. Do you understand what you're doing to him? I'm treating him like the 35-year-old man he claims to be, I said calmly. He should be able to handle his own debts. You're sabotaging his business out of spite because you weren't invited to one party. Actually, Vanessa, I'm stopping financial support because I've given your husband nearly $700,000 over 6 years, and he doesn't even respect me enough to include me in his life. But please, explain to me why that's my fault. She was quiet for a moment. 700,000? Give or take. James has the full accounting if you'd like to review it. That's not possible. It's very possible when someone pays your business loan for 6 years, plus startup capital, plus car down payment, plus condo down payment. Would you like me to email you the spreadsheet? Another pause. Daniel never told me it was that much. I'm sure there are a lot of things Daniel hasn't told you. She hung up. Wednesday. I got a call from a number I didn't recognize. I answered. Mr. Chen, this is Gregory Park, Vanessa's father. His voice carried the authority of someone used to being obeyed. I understand there's been some confusion regarding financial arrangements with Daniel. No confusion on my end, Mr. Park. I think you're being unreasonable. Young couples need support as they build their lives. I'm sure if we sit down together... Mr. Park, I've been supporting your son-in-law for 6 years while he tried to impress you and your family. If you think he needs more support, you're welcome to provide it. But I'm done. You're willing to destroy your relationship with your son over money? I felt my jaw clench. No, sir. My son destroyed our relationship when he decided I wasn't good enough to attend his birthday dinner because I might embarrass him in front of your daughter's friends. The money is just the consequence. I see. His tone cooled. I suppose there's nothing more to discuss. I suppose not. Thursday at 3 o'clock, I heard a car pull into my driveway. Daniel and Vanessa both got out. I'd expected him alone, but maybe she didn't trust him to handle this. I opened the door before they knocked. Daniel looked terrible, dark circles under his eyes, rumpled clothes. He'd always been meticulous about his appearance, but today he looked like he'd slept in those pants. Dad, he started. Living room, I said, stepping aside. They followed me in. We stood there awkwardly for a moment before Vanessa sat primly on the edge of Ellen's favorite chair. Daniel remained standing, shifting his weight from foot to foot. Did you get the accounting from James? I asked, sitting down on the couch. Yes, Daniel said quietly. Dad, I had no idea it was that much. You never asked. I know, but I assumed, I thought maybe 100,000 total over the years. But 700? His voice cracked. How did it get so high? I pulled out my own copy of the spreadsheet and placed it on the coffee table. Should we go through it line by line? The 180,000 for your business, the 4,200 a month for 6 years, the car, the condo, the wedding expenses. Vanessa leaned forward, scanning the document. Her face paled. Daniel told me you helped with the business. He said it was 50,000. He lied. I didn't lie, Daniel said quickly. I just didn't tell you everything. I didn't want you to think I was some charity case. But you were, I said quietly. You were living a life you couldn't afford, and I was paying for it. While you were eating at restaurants that charge $50 for an appetizer, I was eating canned soup. While you were driving an $85,000 car, I was driving a 12-year-old truck with 190,000 miles on it. While you were buying a vacation condo in Vail, I was watching my retirement savings disappear. I was going to pay you back, Daniel said. I just needed time. It's been 6 years. You've had time. Vanessa stood up. Robert, I think we need to discuss a reasonable payment plan. Surely we can work something out that doesn't involve destroying Daniel's business. Why didn't your parents help him? I asked. You come from money. Real money. Why was it always my job to fund your lifestyle? She stiffened. My parents believe in self-sufficiency. They helped with the wedding because that's traditional, but they think young people should build their own success. So do I. Which is why I'm stopping. But you can't just pull the rug out, Daniel said desperately. The bank, Dad. They're going to call the loan. I'll lose everything. Then you'll learn what it's like to lose something important. Like I lost $600,000 in retirement savings. Like I lost my son, apparently, somewhere along the way. This is about the party, isn't it? Vanessa said coldly. You're punishing us because we made one mistake. I laughed. Actually laughed. One mistake? Vanessa, I haven't had dinner with my son in 8 months. I spent last Christmas alone. The Christmas before that alone. I get maybe 5 phone calls a year, and they're all asking for something or giving me the minimum required check-in to avoid feeling guilty. I've become an ATM to you both. The party was just the moment I realized it. That's not fair, Daniel said. I've been busy building a business. With my money. You offered. You said you wanted to help. I did want to help. I wanted to help my son. But somewhere along the way, you stopped being my son and started being Vanessa's husband. Started being someone who's embarrassed by his father. Someone who cares more about impressing strangers at a restaurant than spending time with the man who raised him. Tears were running down Daniel's face now. I never meant for it to be like this. But it is like this. And I'm done. Vanessa pulled out her phone. I need to make some calls. My father might be willing to help with a bridge loan until we figure this out. No. Daniel's voice was sharp. I'm not asking your father for money. I'm not giving him more ammunition to talk about how I can't take care of my family. Then what do you suggest? Vanessa snapped. Because in 3 weeks, the bank is going to call your loan and we're going to lose everything. They argued back and forth right there in my living room. As if I wasn't even present, Vanessa was furious with Daniel for lying about the money. Daniel was defensive, saying he didn't want to seem like he was using her family. It went on for 20 minutes before I finally stood up. Get out of my house. They both stopped mid-argument. What? Daniel said. Get out. This is between you and Vanessa now. You two need to figure out how to stand on your own feet without me propping you up. The demand letter stands. You have 30 days to propose a payment plan, or James will file in court. The bank payments stop April 1st. That's 8 days from now. What you do with that information is your problem, not mine. Dad, please. Daniel was begging now. Don't do this. I'm sorry about the party. I'm sorry I didn't tell Vanessa the truth. I'm sorry I haven't been a better son. Just give me a chance to fix this. You had 6 years to fix this. You chose not to. So that's it? You're just cutting me off? Your own son? I walked to the front door and opened it. No, Daniel, you cut me off. You gave me away. You traded me in for the life Vanessa wanted and her family approved of. I'm just accepting the reality you created. I never wanted this, he whispered. Then you shouldn't have uninvited me to your birthday party because I didn't fit your wife's aesthetic. They left. I watched their Range Rover, the one I'd paid $30,000 for, pull out of my driveway. Then I closed the door, locked it, and finally, for the first time in 6 years, I felt like I could breathe. The next 2 weeks were chaos, from what I heard through the grapevine. Daniel tried to get a loan to cover the business payments. No bank would touch him with his debt-to-income ratio. Vanessa's father offered to help, but with conditions that Daniel refused. They put the Vale condo up for sale, but the market was slow. They started fighting constantly, according to Daniel's secretary, who I'd always been friendly with and who called me to say she was worried about him. April 1st came. The bank called Daniel's loan. He had 30 days to pay in full or work out new terms. Without my payment history backing him up, the bank wasn't interested in negotiating. May 3rd, Daniel called me. Dad, they're seizing the business equipment. All of it. I'm going to lose everything. I'm sorry to hear that, I said. You're sorry? You're sorry? You could stop this with one phone call. I could, but I won't. Why? Why are you doing this to me? I'm not doing anything to you, Daniel. I'm simply not doing everything for you anymore. There's a difference. He hung up on me. 2 weeks later, the business closed. Daniel tried to salvage what he could, reaching out to his clients directly, offering freelance services. Some stayed with him. Most didn't. He and Vanessa sold the Vale condo at a loss. They sold the Range Rover. They moved out of their house into a smaller apartment. Vanessa took a full-time corporate job with benefits. Daniel started working for someone else's marketing firm, rebuilding his resume. I heard all of this through various sources. Daniel didn't call me. Vanessa certainly didn't. I was, apparently, the villain in their story. In June, I got a letter from Daniel, not via lawyer, just a regular envelope with his handwriting on it. I almost threw it away, but something made me open it. Dad, it read, I don't expect you to forgive me. I don't even know if I deserve forgiveness, but I need you to know that you were right. About all of it. I was living a life I couldn't afford, trying to be someone I'm not, and I lost myself in the process. I lost us. Vanessa and I are in counseling. She's furious with me, and she has every right to be. I lied to her about the money because I was ashamed that I couldn't provide for her the way her family expected, ashamed that I needed my father to subsidize my life, but mostly ashamed that I was willing to trade my relationship with you to maintain an image. I'm not asking for money. I'm not asking for help. I'm just asking you to know that I understand now what I threw away. And I'm sorry. I read it 3 times. Then I put it in a drawer. In August, I sold my construction company. I'd been thinking about retiring anyway, and without the financial burden of Daniel's life, I could actually afford to. I sold it to my foreman, a good man who'd been with me for 20 years. I kept enough work to stay busy, but not enough to stress me out. I started traveling. Small trips at first. A week in Montana. A long weekend in Santa Fe. Places Ellen and I had always talked about visiting. I bought a new truck. I upgraded my kitchen. I joined a woodworking club and started building furniture for fun. In October, I ran into Maria Flores at a coffee shop. She'd been Ellen's best friend, and we'd lost touch after the funeral. We talked for 3 hours. She was divorced, working as a nurse, and dealing with her own family drama. Her daughter had married young and was already struggling. We understood each other in a way that felt comfortable. We started having coffee weekly, then dinner occasionally. Nothing romantic, just friendship. But it felt good to be around someone who valued my time, who wanted to hear my stories, who didn't measure my worth by my bank account. In December, almost a year after that first phone call from Daniel, I got an invitation in the mail. Christmas dinner at Daniel and Vanessa's apartment. A small gathering. Just them, Vanessa's sister, and me if I wanted to come. I thought about it for a week. Part of me wanted to refuse, to let him feel what it's like to be rejected. But a bigger part of me, the part that remembered who I was before all of this, knew that wasn't who I wanted to be. I called Daniel. I got your invitation. I wasn't sure you would come. I'm not sure I am, I said honestly. But I wanted you to know I received it. Dad, I know I can't undo what I did. I know I hurt you in ways that maybe can't be fixed. But I'm trying to be better. To be the person you raised me to be instead of the person I thought I needed to be. Are you happy? I asked. The question seemed to surprise him. I'm getting there. It's been hard. Really hard. But honest. For the first time in years. Vanessa and I are figuring out who we are without the pretense. Without trying to impress anyone. It turns out we actually like each other when we're not performing. Good. That's good. Will you come? To dinner? I looked at the photo of Ellen on my counter. What would she want? I already knew the answer. She'd want me to be happy, to protect myself, but also to be open to connection if it was genuine. I'll come, I said. But Daniel, I need you to understand something. I'm not your bank anymore. I'm not your safety net. If you're in trouble, you figure it out. I'll be your father, but I won't be your funding source. Can you accept that? Yes, he said quietly. I can accept that. Then I'll be there. Christmas dinner was awkward at first. Their apartment was small, nothing like the house they'd lost. Vanessa was more subdued than I'd ever seen her, but she was genuine when she thanked me for coming. We ate chicken instead of prime rib. We drank wine from Trader Joe's instead of expensive bottles. And somehow, it was better. More real. After dinner, Daniel and I stood on his small balcony. It was cold, and I could see my breath. I paid James his legal fees and made the first payment toward what I owe you, Daniel said. It's not much, only $2,000, but it's a start. You didn't have to do that. Yes, I did. I owe you $700,000. I'm going to pay back every cent, even if it takes me the rest of my life. I shook my head. Keep your money. Put it toward your future, toward building a life that's actually yours. Dad, I owe... No, I interrupted. You owe me a relationship. You owe me respect. You owe me honesty. The money? Consider it paid. But those other things, Daniel, those you need to earn back. He nodded, tears in his eyes. I can do that. We'll see, I said. And we did. It took time. Months of coffee dates and phone calls and slowly rebuilding trust. There were setbacks. Moments when old patterns tried to resurface. But we worked through them. Daniel built his freelance business slowly, sustainably. Vanessa found fulfillment in her corporate job. They had a baby girl in the spring. They named her Ellen. I'm 64 now. I have enough money to retire comfortably. though not lavishly. I have a relationship with my son that's based on mutual respect instead of financial dependency. I have Maria, who's become more than a friend. I have my woodworking, my travels, my granddaughter who smiles when I walk in the room. Could I have handled it differently? Probably. Should I have set boundaries earlier? Definitely. But in the end, the hardest lesson I had to teach my son was the one I had to learn myself. You can't buy love. You can't purchase respect. And sometimes the most loving thing you can do is let someone fall so they can learn to stand on their own. My son once told me I wasn't the right fit for his life. And he was right. I wasn't a fit for the life he was pretending to live, but I'm a perfect fit for the life he's building now. The real one, the honest one. And that's worth more than $700,000 could ever buy.